What's up guys, Elfis here with another HoN tips, and today we're going to be covering team composition. And the first thing I want to mention about team composition is that these are team compositions that I would recommend you try to come close to if you're solo queuing. If you're solo queuing, it's really hard to pull off any funky kind of strategies in team compositions, so I would just recommend sticking with like a standard-ish one. But if you're in pre-mades, if you have a pre-made team, you could try a number of other things. You know, you could do a push strategy, you could do heavy ganking, you could do like a really heavy kill strategy early on. I mean, you know, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, you could really, you know, there's essentially limitless possibilities. You know, you could try laning and all kinds of stuff. These are kind of very basic, safe strategies that you know, or not strategies, sorry, safe team compositions that kind of go well in solo queue when you're with players that, well, for lack of a better word, aren't that intelligent. So first of all, I'm just going to go over them real quick, and I'm going to kind of point out the similarities in them, because all three of these team compositions, and again, these are just examples, you could do a number of other mixtures, even for safe team compositions. There's a number of other mixtures, which is why I'm going to point out the similarities, so you know the general mixtures that are safe team compositions in solo queue. So we have Andromeda. I'm going to go through the first one first, from top to bottom. So Andromeda, support, Armadon, tank and or initiation, Behemoth, you can do initiation and or support, Draconis, obviously your hard carry, and Electrician, you can build them as a carry or as a tank. I actually really like this build. This is a great build. You have initiation with Behemoth and with Armadon, you have your hard carry, and you have a secondary carry. Electrician isn't a hard carry, but he can get some kills. He can get in there and carry. And Andromeda for your hard support, and Behemoth as a semi-support or secondary support if you need that. This is a good team composition. Now what I want to mention real quick, so we have one support, one hard support, one secondary support, a tank who tank is not a necessary role, but initiation is. So tanks can usually initiate fairly well. Armadon, because he can build up a fair amount of speed, and he's got so much defense that nobody can fuck with him really, and you know, he's good like that. And then the next person is Behemoth. You can get a portal key on him. You can get a portal key, and Behemoth can initiate fine. Then, of course, Draconis, hard carry, and Electrician, you can get items such as Calder's Sheepstick, Nullstone helps. Anything that gives him more mana helps him get even more tanky because of his shield, and makes him do more damage just because he can spam his mana, his spells more. Okay, next team composition. So we got, and so again, one support, one secondary support, initiation is covered, and carry is covered. So same thing with all three of these, as you'll notice. We have support with Empath, secondary support with Glacius, or vice versa if you want to do it. I usually like to do Glacius as the hard support because he doesn't really provide any other benefits so well. I mean, he can do some damage and initiate sometimes if you build him that way, but not really. Then we have carry. We got Gemini and Emerald Warden, both of which fairly decent carries, initiation as well as tanking or Axis. So again, couple of supports, initiation, and then your carry. Same things up here. Then we go down one more. Let's see, initiation is going to be your Pestilence. Once you get a portal key on him, portal key in, stun, slow people. Actually, sorry, he doesn't have a slow. You can, you know, put your negative armor on people, things of that nature. Your carry is going to be covered with Forsaken and Nomad, depending on how you play them both. I've seen some Nomads go more tanky and less damagey, but I like more damagey on Nomad. And then your support's going to be Myrmidon and Nymphora. Probably Nymphora is going to be your primary support, and Myrmidon your secondary support. You can have two primary supports if you prefer. It's a little bit up to you at that point, but for the most part, it's kind of a general thing where one person kind of sacrifices their character, you know, by buying a whole bunch of wards and upgrading courier and things of that nature, and the other one will kind of focus on keeping their teammates alive and things like that. Because the other one has bought so many wards and all that, they don't have items and they'll die in like 2 hits, so they really can't do much in team fights. So those are your basic team compositions. Couple of supports. Usually so I'm just going to go over a couple of supports, initiation, 1 or 2 initiators, and then your carries. Those are your basic team compositions for solo queuing. Again, if you're with pre-mades, you can kind of change the rules, and there's essentially limitless possibilities, depending on the metagame and all kinds of things like that. And even in solo queue, this whole team composition is very changeable. You can go 1 support and extra tanking initiation, or 1 support and extra carry if you want, although 3 carries is usually too much. 2 carries is fine, 1 carry is good, anything like that. If you have more than 2 carries, you're usually not a very good team composition because you have too much carry and not enough support for the carry. But again, you can mix and mingle. You can change out a support for another tank, another initiator, another XYZ. Another tanky carry, like maybe electrician, for example. You could throw like a predator in there maybe, or a zephyr potentially, depending on whether you want to lane or jungle. With zephyr, kind of messes up your composition a little bit, but not too much. And then, so these are the basic 2 duo lanes, 1 solo mid lane setup, and I'll just tell you real quick, probably in this team composition, you'd probably send maybe Draconis mid or Electrician solo mid, either or. Probably Electrician because you want your Draconis to get a lot of farm, so usually you would send Draconis with Behemoth and then Andromeda with Armadon. And this team composition, you could send either Meraxis mid or Emerald Warden mid, or even Gemini mid, depending on the player, although I wouldn't send Gemini mid. I'd probably send Emerald Warden mid, and then have Gemini go with maybe Empath, and Meraxis go with Glacius. And then in this one down here, your Nomad is probably going to be your mid. Nomad's a really strong mid hero. But you could send Forsaken or Pestilence mid. You don't want to send a support solo mid because they're going to get raped. It doesn't make any sense. So that's your team composition for basic ones. Then I did a jungler one over here. Your jungler one, this is just a basic jungler one. And I kind of built this one around the jungler. Usually when you have a jungler, you kind of want to build your build around a jungler. So for example, your solo mid's going to be your Dr. Repulsor, pretty heavy ganker. He can easily get some kills early on, once he hits 6 at least. Same thing for Parasite, he can get some kills early on. And then your Hellbringer is going to be your solo 2 vs 1, because Hellbringer is an amazing solo 2 vs 1, if the person playing him knows how to play him. And then when you have a jungler and a solo lane and your solo mid, usually you want your other lane to have a hard carry and a support in it. So I chose Magebane and Martyr. Again, it's interchangeable. You can go ahead and change those out with a number of support and carry heroes. And you could change your mid out for a less ganky hero if you prefer, although when you pick a jungler, I usually like to have a ganky hero with mid. And I mean, Parasite's ganky as well, but I usually like to have the ganky hero in mid as well. And another reason to pick Hellbringer with Parasite is because he has a slow, as well as his dot damage and XYZ, and he has negative magic armor with one of his skills. I think Soul Shackles or something. I don't remember the names of his skills. We can check right here. Soul Shackles? Unholy Shackles, sorry. Oh, it doesn't do negative armor anymore. I stand corrected. They changed that. Okay, it was negative armor at one point, I think. But I could be mistaken. So either way, though, he's still a good hero to match up with your Parasite. But with that being said, just want to say one more time, these are general team compositions. You can change them if you see fit, but again, too many of one thing is not a good idea. So if you're solo queuing and you have a team composition that looks like 4 carries and 1 initiation, you didn't take a good start, so you're already down. If you have team compositions that looks like this, cool, you're fine. You have a good start so far. I mean, some things could be changed. Some people may argue with some of them. I think probably these two, well, maybe this one so much, their mid lane is a little bit weaker than the other two. I think Electrician and Nomad are really strong mid lanes, whereas Emerald Warden kind of drops off a little bit mid lane, but that's my personal opinion. Some people would argue otherwise. But either way, that's all I wanted to cover with team composition. So again, just to reiterate, these are solo queue team compositions. If you have pre-mades, you can do essentially whatever you want within reason. It still has to have a purpose. You can't go 5 carries just because you have a pre-made. You have to have a purpose if you want your purpose to be pushing really early or ganking or focusing on getting your jungler farmed, or a hard carry, or XYZ. It still has to have a purpose, but you can change it up and do a lot of funky things when you're pre-made, and it'll still work out good because you're pre-made and you can make it work. But so either way, that's all I wanted to cover. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, or dislike and tell me why you disliked it. Also, if anybody disagrees with my team compositions, feel free to let me know, and let me know why, and I can possibly correct you, or you can correct me. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Although I've been playing for a long time, and these tend to be pretty safe compositions in solo queue. But either way, let me know. And other than that, I will talk to you guys later. Elfis out.